So, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 is a remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street 1984. And it's directed by Samuel Bayer, and it reimagines the classic Nightmare on Elm Street with some updated visuals which kind of fall flat, a darker tone which falls flat, and a new portrayal of Freddy Krueger which sucks. Yeah, I mean, he's played by Jackie Earle Haley. He does his best, but he's kind of bad in the role, and it's not his fault. I'm not gonna blame it all on him. It's a script. The script for this movie is absolutely terrible. There's no saving grace. There's no part of it which I can just say, I kind of like that aspect. It's just all terrible. I mean, okay, that's a lie. I like the opening, which I'll get to in a minute, but aside from that, it's all pretty bad. So let's just get into this so I can keep moaning about this movie. So yeah, this movie begins at the Springwood Diner, where a teenager named Dean struggles to stay awake. He's fearing a menacing presence in a dream, and as he drifts in and out of sleep, he encounters Freddy Krueger. Oh wait, I can't say that name because they try so hard not to say Freddy's name in this movie. I don't know what the issue was. They clearly had all the rights to Nightmare if they could just rehash every bloody thing in the franchise. What's the thing with saying Freddy? It's not like it's not like YouTube and swear words where they think it's the bloody plague. I can sit here and say Freddy 50 times, they ain't gonna care. I probably have throughout reviewing all the Nightmare movies. So I don't know what's the big deal with saying Freddy, 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 but oh well, I'm just gonna stop now because it's annoying. But yeah, he is a disfigured man with a gloved hand adorned with razor-sharp knives. And Freddy, once again I'm gonna keep saying Freddy more than usual now just because they don't do it in this movie, taunts Dean in his sleep, and in reality, Dean appears to be slitting his own throat, but in his dream, he's of course killed by Freddy. To everyone's shock in the diner, though, and the waitress, Nancy Holbrook? Why change her last name? It ain't an issue, why try and differentiate yourself right at the beginning, but then the rest of the movie is just the same old stuff? Yeah, following Dean's death, Chris finds herself haunted by the same burned man. She begins to suspect something is deeply wrong, especially when she finds a photograph of her when she was a child with Dean, and she doesn't even remember Dean from when she was a kid. She thought they only met in high school. Which, fun little meet cute, but yeah, I'd be a bit confused if there was a picture of me and someone from when we were 3 years old and I wouldn't remember it. In fact, no, I don't remember being 3 years old, what am I talking about? But yeah. Despite having no memory of it, she's increasingly disturbed, and she tries to stay awake for pretty much a whole week, which I've done before, with the help of caffeine, but not without any, Jesus Christ. I think they use, ADD or ADHD medication in this movie to try and, stop Freddy. I know that they try and, modernize it, because in, the older films they use, a dream medication, but, I don't really know anything about it, of course I'm not really educated on that, but do they, suppress dreams? Can someone let me know in the comments, because I'm not very well versed on that. Following that, though, she dies. Yeah, she's killed by Freddy just sticking his hand through her, which, way to just try and do something new, and then fail miserably, because that is probably the most iconic kill from the OG. The spinning room is so cool, and then this new one, she just lifted into the air, just poof. I don't care. Moving on from there, though, Jesse, who is nowhere near as cool as the OG, I must say, he witnesses her death, and he runs for Nancy's house. And, well, yeah, when you just sort of stood in front of someone while covered in your girlfriend's blood, you're probably going to look a bit suspect, mate. So he gets arrested, taken to prison, and in prison he dies, because this is actually one of the few bits that got me laughing, so he dies in his prison cell, and then his cellmates just stood there I didn't do it, and I'm just good luck. I don't know how they're gonna build a case against you when it's pretty obvious that, there's a pretty sharp object that's just gone through him, and they can probably search the cell, but, you can hide anything, anywhere. But yeah, so Nancy, who was Dean and Chris's friend, starts experiencing terrifying dreams as well, along with another friend who's played by Carl Gallner, who is the only actor that I recognise in this movie. I don't know anyone else in this. It's all just, like it's like your typical early 2000s movie where they just love getting like good looking people to play the leads, even though they can't act. They are terrible actors, but they just want to get people who look good for the whole like teenage audience and everything. But yeah, so they realise that they too are haunted by Freddy, and all of them attend the same preschool together when they were children. They investigate further and discover a disturbing part of their past that had been suppressed. They were all a group of children who were diddled by Freddy Krueger, because I can definitely not say that. Who was the preschool's janitor. Yeah, this is probably the aspect of the movie which I despise the most. I know, before you guys bloody comment it, I know Wes Craven was going to add it into the original ones, but he didn't. I feel being a child murderer is already enough. I don't need to have child predator as well. We don't need that, okay? You can just do something else. Like, the man does 3 things that I don't like in the same movie. Do something against kids, do something against dogs, and it's just an all-around weirdo. But yeah, so the teenagers learn that Freddy has been caught by the children's parents years ago, who then took justice into their own hands by burning him alive in a boiler room in like the bloody like basement of the preschool, which is where he lived, which I find kind of confusing because like surely you wouldn't be allowed to live in a preschool as an adult as well. I don't know, maybe he was just a cool guy. But yeah, so as Nancy and whatever Carl Gallen's name was trying to stay awake, Freddy continues to stalk them, growing stronger with each dream. They realise that Freddy's powers relies on their fear, and if they can pull him into the real world, well, they can bloody kill him. Hurrah! So yeah, they try to stay awake, but they ultimately just fall asleep in bed together, as you do. You know? Teenagers, in early 2000s movie, try staying awake, ultimately end up in bed together. That checks out. Yeah, so pretty much they beat Freddy, and woohoo, the day's saved, and Nancy and her mum return home believing he's gone. In the final jump scare, Freddy appears in a mirror and pulls Nancy's mother into it. Now, I do prefer that. That's one of the things that I prefer over the original, because that doll, the blow-up like doll that they had in the original that just pulls through the door, it doesn't look the best, but I'm gonna go out on a whim and say that's probably better than this though, because this is a 2010 movie. That was a 1984 slasher movie. You know. But yeah, so this remake was definitely a bold attempt to imagine Freddy Krueger. They're trying to make it more grounded, menacing, and they strip away pretty much any humour. Like, he does make some jokes, like with the cat, I was about to say cat, with the dog, he goes, I was only petting him. Scum. Yeah. Jackie O'Haley, he takes over Freddy. He's more sinister, he's more brooding than Robert Englund, but he's definitely more darker and violent too, but he just lacks like any charm that Robert Englund brought to the role. He opts instead for just a grim interpretation that definitely leans into his more evil nature. But the film also dives into like Freddy's backstory more than like some of the other ones, which it firmly states that he's a child predator, which I don't exactly like. Once again, I think child murderer is good enough. I don't need to know. But at least I know one thing. If anyone ever asks me, which Freddy would you rather go against, I'm going against Robert Englund, because at least I won't have an issue with him like I would with this guy, because I'm still under the age of 18. This guy would probably love to kill me. But yeah, ultimately, it's a terrible reboot. It's darker. Freddy's dumber somehow, and the change from Robert Englund to this guy is fine, but it just feels very weird, especially when he was actually in Freddy vs. Jason in like 2003. I don't think a 7-year difference is really going to change anything for it. It's got some alright visuals. You know, the director was like a music video director as well, and it's definitely not going to be a horror classic. I'm just saying. And it definitely didn't satisfy me either as like a fan of the original, but it's alright. You know, it's not as bad as I keep saying. It's still bad nonetheless, but like I think there are some parts which some people will enjoy. Ultimately, I give it like a 3.5 out of 10.